Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. And today we can continue to report on very, very heavy fighting that is taking place within the vicinity north of Shire, near Adi Daro. That is this locale here. And furthermore, there continues to be very heavy fighting taking place near Shiaro as well, which is further to the west, just to the northwest. But first, we'll cover what is happening near Shiraro. There continues to be reports that both the Tigrayan Defense Forces and the Abiy Loyalist Forces and the Eritrean Army are contesting who controls Shiraro. There continues to be high-pitched battles taking place back and forth. We've also received credible reports out of the area that indicates that Abiy loyalist forces are being forced to the front, and Eritrean forces are acting more or less as barrier forces for some of these Abiy loyalist forces, preventing them from retreating upon contact with the Tigrayan Defense Forces. So what happens usually in these cases is you'll have an engagement. The Abiy Loyalist Forces, or the ENDF, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces of the former state of Ethiopia, will then retreat into the withering fire of the Eritrean Army, who again is acting as barrier troops to prevent the retreat of Abiy loyalist forces. We do know that many of the Abiy loyalist forces are semi-conscripted forces, some of which have volunteered, but with very, very limited military training. We had received initial reports that some of the forces that were being deployed to Eritrea were higher grade members of the various Abiy loyalist commando divisions, which are more or less of brigade size, 5,000 to 6,000 personnel. But it would appear that even those forces are seemingly not doing very well when they get into first contact with the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And it's a bit disturbing that, in all probability, some of these Eritrean units are acting as barrier forces to prevent the Abiy loyalist forces from retreating. So very, very interesting tidbit of information. It's not uncommon. We have seen that in past wars. There were even allegations during World War II that units of the Soviet NKVD acted as barrier troops to prevent regular Soviet forces from withdrawing. So not uncommon, especially in the type and nature of the war that we are seeing. So right now, we have to say Shiaro is contested. We are not sure at this point who is in control of it. We do know that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have brought up additional reinforcements in an attempt to push back both the Eritrean and Abiy loyalist armies outside of Shiraro. Furthermore, to the north of Shire, now there's not fighting taking place in Shire proper, which is down here. I'll kind of do a cant here where you can kind of see the terrain we're looking at. So here is Shire, and then as we move to the north, we will then run into Adi Daro. And what we're hearing within the vicinity of Adi Daro is that initially the Abiy loyalist forces, the Eritrean Army, in conjunction with each other, had moved in after some very, very bitter fighting into parts of Adi Daro. It does appear right now that the Tigrayan Defense Forces are, at this point, willing to fight in urbanized combat, especially in Adi Daro and some other places that we have seen. So again, Adi Daro seems to be contested. The the Eritrean Army moved into Adidaro, and then the Tigrayan Defense Forces have since counterattacked into Adidaro itself, and we're continuing to see high-pitched battles taking place within the vicinity of Adidaro. The Eritrean Army is attempting to press down this major roadway with the intent of seizing control of Adidaro, while the Tigrayan Defense Forces are on the southern end of Adidaro, while at the same time continuing to occupy strong points both to the west of Adidaro and to the east of Adidaro. So we could possibly anticipate to see some sort of enveloping action, or we are in the process of seeing said enveloping action as we speak. And what we've seen in the past is Eritrean or B loyalist forces would move in mass to, say, a city such as Adidaro, and then the Tigrayan Defense Forces would then cut off routes into of Adidaro, and then encircle Adidaro, and then demand that those forces capitulate prior to an all-out assault on Adidaro. But right now, again, very heavy fighting is taking place in and around Adidaro. It too is contested. We cannot say for certain that the Eritrean Army or Abiy loyalist forces control Adidaro, and we cannot say for certain if Tigrayan Defense Forces control Adidaro at this point as well. But that's where we kind of set right now. We have received more reports of additional Abiy loyalist forces captured within the vicinity of both north of Shire and near Shiraro. We've also seen Eritrean Army units, Eritrean Army regulars in Eritrean Army uniforms, also that have been captured en masse within the vicinity of both Adidaro to the north of Shire and near Shiraro. Now, we quite frankly anticipated initially that the Tigrayan Defense Forces would fall back and look for higher terrain, look for the mountainous terrain where they excel at fighting, and not put up a lot of resistance near Shiraro and possibly even Adidaro. But right now, we are actually seeing that. We are seeing very well defended positions by the Tigrayan Defense Forces attempting to contest and prevent Eritrean Army units from moving into near Shiraro and some other places within this area of the theater of operations. This would be more or less the northwestern area of operations that we are seeing. As we move down towards the Rama front, again, we are not seeing the Eritrean Army make a lot of headway in its attempt to move towards or along this area here, the Rama front. That would open up the door towards Adwa, and from our understanding in Axum, and our understanding is that the Eritrean Army is still fighting in the border areas near Rama front. Additionally, if we move towards Zalambasa, again, this would be the gateway towards Adigrat, and then eventually towards Mekele due south. Again, same situation. And we anticipate that this area is probably some of the best and well-defended areas. Again, it's very mountainous terrain, a lot of hills, a lot of areas in which the Tigrayan Defense Forces can dig in and prevent the Eritrean Army from doing a lot of maneuver operations further south. And I'm just moving around the battlescape where you can kind of see the terrain that we're looking at right now. So you kind of go into some fairly flat areas near the border, and then very, very quickly it becomes very hilly. And the roadways in some of these areas are very rugged, a lot of unpaved areas. But again, this is kind of the terrain that the Tigrayan Defense Forces excel in. And as the Eritrean Army were to press south towards the first set of some of these northern cities, it's going to be tough going for them, because again, the Tigrayan Defense Forces number in the hundreds of thousands, and they've had well over a year now to build a series of defensive belts leading into the Tigray region, and then further fortify individual cities such as Adigrat and other areas as well. We have seen reports and video evidence of underground facilities that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have built all across the Tigray region in case of a renewed invasion. And if the first invasion of the Tigray region, which took place in late 2020, if the B loyalists in the Eritrean Army felt that they moved rather quickly, what they're experiencing right now is a completely different type of environment right now. Again, a fully mobilized Tigrayan Defense Forces that are operating in some very, very well-prepared defensive positions all across the Tigray region. So again, not a lot of movement in terms of the Eritrean military or a B loyalist forces' ability to move within the vicinity of Zalambasa, Rama. The only area that they've right now they've threatened in terms of taking control of cities is again Shiraro, and to the further north is just to the north of Shire. And that's kind of where we set right now within Adidara. And that is the battlescape at the moment. We're continuing to watch things very, very closely. We don't have a lot of information right now on what is taking place inside of Afar. Nor is there a lot of information coming out of the Weldia area of operations as well. It doesn't look like the Tigrayan Defense Forces are willing to advance further into the Amhara region, meaning a direct assault on Weldia. It kind of makes sense given they are now fighting, for all intents and purposes, a two-front war with the Eritreans operating further to the north. So they're probably not going to extend their lines further south into the Amhara region while they're engaging the Eritrean Army in the north. But that does it for today. Obviously, we'll continue to report and bring you more content as we get it. I will be heading out of town again on a business trip. I'll be heading out again to Seattle, Washington. So I'll be out there for about a week, and I may not be able to create a video tomorrow. If I do, it'll be later in the PM. Midwestern time, Mountain Standard Time. But that's where we sit. Again, thanks for joining us. More to come very, very soon. And as always, have a good day.